National Assembly of Venezuela approved in first discussion the bill presented by the President Nicolás Maduro in defense of the Essequibo territory. Thousands of civilians were killed by Israeli shelling in the southern Gaza Strip town of Rafah on the 61st day of a total side against the Palestinian population. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Saudi Arabia Crown Prince Mohammed Bin Salman held bilateral talks with their delegations in the Saudi capital, Riyadh. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll be with the news. Stay with us. The National Assembly of Venezuela approved in first discussion the bill presented by the President Nicolás Maduro in defense of the Essequibo territory. During this Wednesday ordinary session, the plenary of the legislature discussed a draft organic law for the protection of the Guyana Essequibo. The legal text for the defense of the sovereignty of the Essequibo territory was presented by the Deputy Diosdado Cabello, who pointed out the importance of the initiative formulated by the population consultation on December 3rd in Venezuela. Cabello assured that what follows after the people's vote yes is to enforce the mandate to defend national sovereignty.
Six, the new map of Venezuela should be published and disseminated in all schools, high schools and universities in the country. What a beautiful map.
Aquí se ve, no se ve, ¿quién no lo ve? Aquí, compadre. ¿No? Aquí, hermano, pero aléjalo más para que se vea, porque queremos que se vea nuestra Guayana Essequiba completica, ¿ves? Que no quede nada.
Because the Guyana Essequiba belongs to Venezuela. There is no doubt. Here it is.
During a session at the National Assembly of Venezuela, Deputy Diosdado Cabello clarified that the results of the consultative referendum are the binding.
The first thing that came to their minds, as they have no way to challenge the numbers, the first thing that came to their minds was to say that it was non-binding. Non-binding. That was the argument they were using. Let me read Article 70 of our Constitution. These are means of participation and protagonism by the people in the exercise of their sovereignty, in the political sphere, the election of public offices, the referendum, the popular consultation, the revocation of mandates, the legislative, constitutional, and constituent initiatives, the open town hall, and citizens' assemblies, whose decisions shall be of a binding nature. Whose decisions shall be of a binding nature.
The Venezuelan Attorney General's office has dismantled a criminal network financed by the U.S. transnational company ExxonMobil, which sought to sabotage the consultative referendum of December 3rd. On Wednesday, in statements to the press, the Attorney General of the Republic of Venezuela, Derek Williams Saab, pointed out that these financings were found through crypto assets by U.S. citizens Damian Merlo, a former telecommunications businessman and former foreign policy advisor linked to former President Donald Trump and advisor to President of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele. Saab said that as part of an investigation into the international conspiracy against Venezuela, it has been determined that both Venezuelan and foreign citizens are involved in these actions.
After several investigations, it was possible to identify a series of fundings coming from the laundering of assets of international organizations and foreign companies, such as ExxonMobil, which obviously conspired, as I said in the introduction, against the development of the consultative referendum for the Guyana Essequibo. This was felt and clearly seen when the people took to the streets in large numbers to vote yes to the 5 questions obviously dealing a severe blow to those who led this deplorable campaign, among other people.
Colombian and Brazilian security forces have jointly dismantled 19 illegal gold mining sites in the Amazon rainforest. According to a police statement, the multinational operation represents a milestone in the fight against the illegal exploitation of mining deposits and the contamination of a mega-diverse region. Environmental authorities, Interpol, Air Force, and police from both countries worked for 3 days in the operation, which was called Maloca Grande. Let's take a very short break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. Dozens of civilians were killed by Israeli shelling in the southern Gaza Strip town of Rafah on the 61st day of the total side against the Palestinian population. On Wednesday, 18 people were killed after an Israeli bombing targeted a house of the Hobi family of the Shabura camp. Dozens wounded, including several children, were rushed to the collapsed Kiwati hospital in Rafah. The genocide perpetrated by Israel in the beside Palestinian enclave has claimed the life of some 16,250 people in Gaza, most of them women and children, while 32,000 have been wounded. The Gaza Health Ministry has confirmed that the north of the Gaza Strip has been left without healthcare services due to the side by the Israeli forces and the lack of fuel for hospitals. The ministry confirmed that the Kamal Adon hospital ran out of fuel in the middle of the site. The medical authorities claim that in addition to the patients and wounded, there are 7,000 refugees in the facility, most of them women and children. Outside, hundreds of corpses are decomposing, and Israeli snipers are shooting at everything that moves inside the building. In Palestine, 22 members of the family of Al Jazeera correspondent were killed by the Israeli occupation forces. The nephews, parents, siblings, and brothers and sister-in-law of the Qatari media network correspondent Mohammed al-Sharif were killed during our strike on the Habalia refugee camp north of the Palestinian city of Gaza. Palestinian civil defense teams were reportedly unable to gain access to the bodies. In the statement, Al Jazeera denounced the Israeli attack and said it will take all legal steps to prosecute all those responsible for this crime. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres invoked Article 99 of the Charter of the United Nations over the war in Gaza, which states that the Secretary Generals may bring to the attention of the Security Council any matter which, in his opinion, might threaten the maintenance of international peace and security. UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric told reporters this was the first time Guterres has invoked the article since he took office in 2017.
Given the scale of the loss of human life in Gaza and in Israel in such a short amount of time, the Secretary General has today delivered a letter to the President of the Security Council invoking Article 99 of the Charter of the United Nations. This is the first time that Antonio Guterres has done this since he became Secretary General in 2017. Article 99 states, and I quote, that the Secretary General may bring to the attention of the Security Council any matter in his opinion that may threaten the maintenance of international peace and security. In the letter, which has been shared with you, the Secretary General urges the members of the Security Council to press to avert a humanitarian catastrophe, and he appeals for a humanitarian ceasefire to be declared.
South Gaza residents tell first-person accounts of the relentless bombardment against civilians.
We were sleeping peacefully at night and the house was mostly packed with children and women. All of a sudden a strike hit and debris fell on us. Good Samaritans helped us and we sustained some injuries varying from bone fracture to injuries that needed stitching.
At around 20:30, I left the office where I work for the civil defense and headed home to eat and asked my wife to prepare some food, only to be hit by a strike as I was changing my clothes. Without prior warning or instructions to evacuate, fire was all over the place and I tried to cover myself with a blanket. I woke up later at the hospital.
Let's go over some key facts to better understand the devastating impact of Assad on Gaza to this date. Since October the 7th, at least 16,248 Palestinians have been killed in the Strip. This includes at least 7,112 children and 4,885 women. Also, over 43,600 Palestinians have been injured and over 7,600 remain missing under the rubble. After the over 60 days of almost relentless shelling, over 50% of Gaza's homes have been damaged or destroyed. There is over 300,000 residential units. According to the UN, this has caused 1.9 million Palestinians to be displaced from their homes. This Monday, December the 4th, Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega addressed a letter to his Palestinian counterpart Mahmoud Abbas in which he reinforced his country's solidarity with the Palestinian people. In his letter, Ortega stressed that their people will always have been together and will continue together, uniting all the battles for the national liberation which have involved us and which it hopes us to continue fighting, shared in the acknowledge that so much self-denial, steadfastness, sacrifice, and commitment to the conviction of the rights and defense of the scattered Palestinian nation will come to the fruitful of this new world that is already awakening and taking its path. In this sense, the Nicaraguan president stressed that the whole human family shares your struggles and your determination for justice and peace. Finally, in his message of support, Ortega added that God continues to give us strength and fortitude to continue lighting the way of this world towards the great victories that your people and all combative peoples of righteous conscientiousness deserves. A diplomatic delegation of the government of Nicaragua arrived in the West Bank to express its support to the Palestinian people. This delegation is led by the Foreign Minister Denis Moncada, the Minister Orlando Trandencilla, and the Deputy Wilfredo Navarro, President of the Friendship Group with Palestinians. The Nicaraguan officials were received by the Premier Mohammed Sayed, who thanks them for Nicaragua's support and review of the situation of the Israeli occupation in the West Bank territory. Denis Moncada conveyed the fraternal greetings of the President Daniel Ortega and Vice President Rosario Murillo as he expressed solidarity with the families of the martyrs. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to join us on our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on the screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. One financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed Bin Salman held bilateral talks with their delegations in the Saudi capital Riyadh. The meeting comes after a fall in oil prices despite a pledge by the OPEC Plus, which groups the organizations of the petroleum exporting countries and allies led by Russia to further cut output. In those introductory remarks shown of Russian television, Putin thanks the Crown Prince for his invitation, saying he had originally expected the Saudi leader to visit Moscow, but there were the changes to plans.
We have stable and very good ties in the field of political interaction, in the economic sphere, and in the humanitarian fields. We had been expecting you in Moscow. I know that circumstances have caused adjustment to these plans, but as I said, nothing can prevent the development of our friendly relations.
On the other hand, Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed Bin Salman reaffirms the solid bilateral relations between his country and Russia and its positive results during the past 7 years.
We share common interests and work together on many issues, on many topics, in the interest of Russia and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as well as the Middle East and the world. During the past 7 years, we have achieved a lot in our bilateral cooperation.
The Ethiopian Human Rights Commission announced on Wednesday that more than 50 civilians were killed in attacks in Ethiopia in November. These statements come 2 weeks after negotiations between the government and the Oromo Liberation Army and without agreements. Classified as a terrorist organization by the Addis Ababa, the ULA has been fighting the Ethiopian authorities in its split with the historic Oromo Liberation Front in 2018, when the later renounced armed struggle that year when current Premier Abiy Ahmed came to power. According to the EHRC's Statutory Independence Public Institutions, so OLF, fighters killed 17 people and burned villages in Benishangul Gumuz, northwest Ethiopia. Britain and Rwanda signed a new treaty on Tuesday in a bid to revive a controversial proposal by London to transfer migrants to this African country that was blocked by the UK court. The UK government said that under the new treaty, Rwanda will be banned by the international law not to return people to a country where their life or freedom will be endangered. The agreement, which UK Premier Rishi Sunak says is crucial to achieve his pledge of solid regular migration before a general elections expected next year, was signed in Kigali. We have come to the end of this news brief, but before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share our newscast and contribute to provide an alternative news sources of the latest world events. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and also use us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English, I'm from the South, Amara Marrero. Thank you for watching.